Yeah, it's mindset cafe, we all got that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only
What is up,
positive
guys?
vibes.
Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin, and today we got a special guest. We got Richard Powell with us. I've met him through one of the masterminds that we're both in, and I wanted to bring him on, because he is also a business owner. He's gone through his own journey. So if you are looking to become an entrepreneur, that's the best way, in my opinion, that you learn is through other people's stories. So Richard, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So let's dive in a little bit. I know we met in RBO, and I know you're a business owner and stuff, but how did that journey start for you?
As far as business goes, really just a high school kid that seen some other people do good in the welding industry, and then just a few teachers really kind of believed in me, and my dad and grandpa and them always kind of fabricated, but I wanted to kind of go perfect the welding side of it, and then I done that, and yeah, between traveling on the road and that dried up, came home and had to make some funds, so we started a welding shop.
Okay, nice. So was your dad and your grandpa, were they business owners as well, or they were just in the trade?
Just in the trade. Like my grandpa rebuilds old cars and stuff, or did before he passed away, and then dad the same. We raced growing up, so it kind of went hand in hand. Whenever you wreck race cars, you gotta fix them up. So
Oh, that's awesome. What kind of race cars were you guys doing?
we raced dirt track late models for a long time. Dad did, and just snowballed into years and years and years. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And that was never a career option for you?
Oh, I raced for 5 or 6 years. I loved it. It got to the point, everything's so expensive anymore with it. And motors were costing, 20 grand to stay competitive. And it just trying to raise a family and start a business didn't make sense at the time.
Okay. So then diving into, with the welding side and of the fabrication and stuff like that, like what made you want to start getting into the welding? Was it something that you just liked in that industry, or?
Really, it was kind of stupid. I was in ag class, and for whatever reason, I just kind of got deemed the welder. And so I was welding up stuff in ag class. And then the little town I grew up in, one of the guys there, he kind of took me under his wing and needed some farm help, and showed me some of the stuff and how to do it, how not to do it, how to get by with a minimal on everything. And then, like I said, I had a teacher that Aaron Oberman was his name. He just believed in me, and I was a punk ass kid, and he thought that I could do something, I guess. And he made some calls to a welding school. I didn't have any money. My parents didn't have any money. They were like, "Yeah, we really want you to go, but we can't make it happen," So anyway, a few calls and got into MWI and started chasing it. Like I said, chased road money for a while, and then came home and worked some oddball jobs, and just knew I could weld, knew that I could do better. And actually, so Powell Fab is like the fourth quote unquote generation of my companies. I failed 3 times before, and finally just started this up, and wasn't going to fail. I told myself, hell or high water, I'll die on this hill, but I'm not going to fail.
Hey man, honestly, I want to dive into that because that's so awesome. I mean, a lot of times people think that entrepreneurship, it's, a one-hit home run, right? And, I have a similar story in that aspect. I mean, Strive 11, it wasn't my first, business. And, I had the same kind of concept when I fully dove in. So for you, what was the first and, through third attempts, what were those businesses?
So I was working for a weld company in a little town that I lived in, and had moved off way to chase some more dollars, and came back home. They didn't have an opening at the time. So I thought, well, I'll start it up. I'll just do farm fences and things of that nature, and didn't know how to price myself, didn't know how to market myself. So 6-8 months on my own, and scratching up the pennies and having to sell stuff to pay the rent on the little house I was living in. Finally just had to can it and go back to work for somebody else. And it was basically that same story, 2 or 3 times. And then actually I moved back home within about a mile of where I grew up at. and this guy shows up out of the blue. We're doing dirt work on the house, and I got a welding shirt on, and he said, "Man, I'm with a local church camp. We need some welding done." I'm like, I'm not interested. Kick rocks, dude. And he comes back, and finally, like the third time, I was like, okay, I'll look at what you got. And it wasn't anything that I wanted to do. I was done welding, and the big man just put everybody in the right places, and it was a smack in the face, like, hey, this is what I want you to do. So we dove into it from there.
That's awesome, man. So, I mean, since you've launched your business, what were some of the hurdles that you didn't know were hurdles? Because I think people get scared to jump into business, right? We get scared to, follow their dream or what their passion is, because they try to find all the what ifs, what if this doesn't work, and okay, I'm gonna do this, and they try to over plan, when in reality, like, I mean, I know for myself at least, you don't know everything. You don't know what you don't know. And I guarantee, even if you try to study and write the perfect bulletproof business plan, there's going to be a hole, right? So what was that first real lesson that, oh shit, I'm going to actually have to really focus on this, and it's going to be some hard work? What was that first lesson?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the biggest lesson obviously was just, keeping the work flowing and being conscious enough to make sure that, everything you do, if you wanted to buy a piece of equipment, obviously you had to have a way to pay for it. But the biggest thing was just taking risks. And as silly as it may sound to a lot of people, like me, every decision that I make, especially in business, I pray about it. And that's more or less my deciding factor. And I don't know, as far as a big hurdle that I wish I would have jumped on sooner is, it's not a sales pitch for RBO or anything, but really just finding those people who have screwed up and asking them questions. In fact, Dustin Hooten, he was a big person that I bounced a lot of crap off of, because he was that generation before me, so to say. I don't know, keeping the cash flow was the biggest thing. And then just, I mean, even like the stupid welder comment at the mastermind meetup, that confidence issue, that's probably the biggest thing I took out of the RBO deal was that comment, because you always go to a job and it's like, man, yeah, I'm high. Somebody else could probably do it just as good for cheaper. And it's not that, hell no, I'm the baddest motherfucker there is,
Yeah.
I've got it. I'm doing it. So yeah, the confidence for sure. And finding that niche, finding that little market that you can insert yourself and just keep running.
Yeah. I'm glad they, said it, because I was like, man, I wish I was up there when you said that, because I was like, please someone cover like that first sentence, because I mean, that's something I'm huge on, right? And going from, I used to be a personal trainer, did well, and now with the gym and everything, but it all starts with your mindset, right? So the number one thing I talk to my members and my clients about, it all starts with how you talk to yourself, right? So right when you said that, I'm just a dumb welder, it's like, okay, if you keep calling yourself that, you keep telling yourself that, you start to try to align with it, right? And at the end of the day, you're a business owner, right? You've already taken steps that most haven't. So giving yourself that praise, and giving not just like that I'm the baddest, like, baddest motherfucker that's doing welding, but, I'm a business owner as well, right? Like, you have that knowledge that it may seem common knowledge to you, but it's only common to the person that knows it, right? Yeah. So there's someone else that's up and coming, and that would look to you just like you did to Dustin, and you don't even realize it.
Well, and I posted that picture on Facebook over the weekend of the shop, and it goes back, like Corey McNeil, he always says, if I can do it, anybody can. Mm-hmm. And it really goes back to that. I mean, I'm just a punk kid from Arkansas that I never wanted to listen. I never wanted to work for anybody. I didn't know anything about business. And in fact, 10 years ago, I didn't hardly know how to strike an arc. So yeah, it's literally that first step and peeling that Band-Aid off, as far as for anyone listening, quote unquote, it's, you have to just dive into it. If it's something you want to do, all the bigs, as far as I'm concerned in business, were small at some point, but they believed in themselves, and telling yourself, I am going to do this. I will do this. I will not fail. It sounds stupid, but every morning I go to the gym and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm the baddest MFer here. There's nobody to tell me different. And today I will not fail. I may be the only one in the gym, but I'm still the best there.
No, see, that's awesome though, right? I mean, it's true. I mean, that's how you have to live the life, right? If someone else
Yep.
has done it, you could do it, right? There's
Yep.
nothing that they have. There's no special token or key that they have that you can't access.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to put in that time and that effort to, essentially get that skill or that tool or that knowledge, so that now it becomes common knowledge to you. So that's awesome. So, I mean, I think you touched on something huge too, right? The shameless, not official plug, but I think it's so cool because it's something that I also faced, right? As a business owner or even in life, sometimes we feel that we need to be the person that knows or solves all the questions or finds all the answers.
Yep.
But in reality, someone else has already figured out the solution to this problem, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to hire a mentor or a coach, although it is beneficial, but at least joining a community of like-minded individuals that have gone through a path or a similar path to yours that can give you feedback, that can give you advice, because then you're going to condense your timeline to success, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how have you felt like that has impacted you on a personal development level?
I don't know, just the little stuff, like a marketing technique or something, or with AI and the new stuff. I'm not a good speaker. I can't put a sales pitch together and make it go good. So finding like that tool, even Corey's like, yeah, dude, just type it into AI and then kind of rewrite just a little bit of it. It's like, that's stupid. That's not me. And then you do it, and it's like, wow, that's freaking professional,
Yeah.
But and not just RBO, but everything. It seems like every business owner out there, 90% of them, I should say, they want to see people strive. They want to see people do good. There's enough work for all of us out there. So yeah, finding those little niches, because like you said, somebody else has screwed up already. Just follow them. As far as RBO, I don't know how to say it, but as far as RBO goes, I mean, the money in, money out, the cash flow problems, bouncing that idea off of somebody else, just 4 or 5 opinions on a topic, and then weeding out what works best for you.
Right. No, see, that's awesome. You get so many different perspectives and so many different answers, but then again, it's not one answer fits all. You have to take the answer that best aligns. And sometimes you might try one that doesn't work and you're like, damn it, then we try the next one. Right. And then you try the next one, and then you have to modify it and tweak it to, again, your industry or your business. So I think that's so cool. And that's so awesome that you're doing that and you realized it, because again, that's something I wish I would have realized a long time ago, and there is such a beneficial aspect to it, because it might be that one piece of knowledge, that might be that one piece of thing, but also it might be the fact where you're feeling like you're beating your head against the wall and you feel like your world is drowning, you're drowning in your problems, when in reality you have those people to be like, look, this is normal. This is what we all go through, right? This is that part you have to basically take too.
Yeah, that whole delegate to elevate deal too, that really stuck with me, because I always wanted to wear all the hats. I wanted to do all the welding. I wanted to do all the bidding. I wanted to do all the bookkeeping, because I had to know every dollar that was coming in and coming out. And then when you get so busy and it's like, oh, I forgot to enter $700-800 worth of stuff in, for the month. And it's like, uh-oh, the books are a little upside down this month now. So that is, and especially for anybody starting out, yes, you're going to have to do it in the beginning, but once it gets to be a hindrance, don't second guess yourself. Just do it. In fact, for us, we ended up hiring my sister. She wanted to start a bookkeeping company, and I was like, man, I drastically need help. So we're rolling down that path, to where I can get back in the shop, because I do enjoy fabricating, I do enjoy welding, but I can't do everything all the time, and I think that's what stunted my growth the most. Aside of a few personal issues that I just had to get over mentally. The guy that works for me now, he can't do the welding. I've got to do the welding. Well, hell, he's a better welder than I am now. And he's only been doing it for 2 or 3 years. So finding those right people to put in your corner is huge, huge, huge.
So how is working with your sister? Is she a part of your team, or did she actually start her bookkeeping like service and business?
Yeah, so this is literally like 2 or 3 weeks into it. So she's starting her own business, her own thing. So more or less she'll be hired on to do both the welding company and the garage door company. But I think it'd be really good. We grew up a little different than a lot of people and didn't have a whole lot of time growing up together that was like good or personal time, I should say. So yeah, getting older and we both understand that's the past, and we want a relationship with each other. So that's what's going to grow this, I think.
No, and that's awesome. And I mean, you guys get to have a relationship that a lot of siblings don't. And in terms of like, both of you guys being business owners and both of you guys almost having your own little family mastermind style of solutions. So I think that's really important that, she actually started her own thing and you didn't try to step in and be like, look, I know you wanted to start this, but just come work for me. Right?
Yeah. And she's a super smart chick, and she's got a lot of stuff. She's in a good job, and she's wanting out and kind of wanting to do her own thing. And she was talking about going and doing a few other little things. And I'm like, man, I mean, you can, but I can tell you exactly how that's going to go. In 2 years, you're going to want something different. I'm eager to see how she kicks ass and prevails, because it's going to be really cool to see from the ground up.
No, that's awesome. And I will say this, you gotta kind of let her make her own mistakes too, because at the end of the day, I mean, you probably learned your best lessons through whether, you had a mentor or not telling you to do something, right? You still, at the end of the day, are like, no, I think this is the solution. And you still tried and you're like, damn, it didn't work. Right.
Dustin was a big one on that too, especially a few years ago, whenever I was trying to hire on the person that's here now. And he's like, dude, they're going to fail. You've got to let them fail. And my dad was real big on that too, growing up. Like, I can give you all the keys to life, but you're never going to learn anything. And you're always going to doubt, did he really have my best interest at hand? He said, unless you fall flat on your face and pull yourself back out of it, then you're never going to learn. So like Greg, he went to a handrail job a couple weeks ago and messed it up by like 6 inches, all 4 little pieces. And he's like, oh man, I'm so sorry I screwed up. And I was like, that's exactly what I wanted you to do, because you will never make that mistake again. He's like, yeah, but you didn't screw up. Really? I've got a bunch of these in my portfolio that I can definitely talk to you about and show you all the money that I lost in lessons. But taking that too, every failure you can take it as a failure and go curl up and die if you want, but take them on the chin and roll with it and make sure it never happens again, whether it was a financial deal or whatever. Just learn from every mistake and just use them as lessons. You're going to have to pay for it some way, pay for it in time or money.
Right. So. And I think that's really, really important and really wise that you say that, because a lot of times, especially as a business owner, it's already hard to delegate, like you were saying, right? And from my talk up there, like that's still something that, even though I told you it's the solution, that's still one of my, and I know it's the solution, but as the business grows and now with the franchise and all these other things, and there's new levels to it, again, you hit those walls of having to realign yourself with knowing delegation is the key. And then even with myself, like when we first hired our trainer, first trainer, second trainer, and they weren't doing things the way we knew we could do them, and closing every deal and these kind of things, it was like, you can get upset and you could try to fire someone and go that whole route, but then realize you're going to hire someone else. They're going to make that same mistake. You're going to get upset. It's an endless loop, instead of just realizing like, okay, they made a mistake. It sucks, but that dollar lost is their lesson learned, right? So that's their hard knocks, academy right there.
Yeah. And I feel very different now too, especially with having somebody that's kind of worked quote unquote under my wing. Investing in the people that are coming into your organization, if you want to call it that. Not everybody's going to do everything the same way you can or you do, but I've had to swallow the hard pill because it was always my way. There's different ways to skin the cat, and some ways are better than your ways, no matter if you're footing the bill or not. So yeah, investing into them people, and when they do huge scores, let them know it. Don't. Oh man, look, next. You gotta. Hell yeah, that was freaking awesome. That rail turned out killer. Whatever it is, just the satisfactory. Show them.
Yeah. What is that? I mean, yes, I agree with you. And so, what is that? Explain what that acknowledgement to someone else really does for them, right? As a leader, sometimes we forget to acknowledge our team, especially on the small wins, or especially when they do something better than we originally designed. What does that acknowledgement do for someone?
Like the biggest thing for me, like actually getting to see it, I guess, explaining it. So we've got a guy out of Springfield, Missouri, has us do stupid, crazy projects. We built him a copper desk and all sorts of stuff. And he's always got off the wall ideas. Well, Greg that works for me, we went up there one time and he had built a set of gates, like 70-foot wide gate entryway, and knocked it out of the park. It was slick. And the owner's up there and he's praising me and about how great it looks. And man, those welds are awesome. You done an awesome job. And I was like, that wasn't me, that was this guy. And just seeing the look on his face, like, oh, wow. And then the owner goes over there and like, holy crap, this is phenomenal. And this is awesome. Just seeing that, that happiness, I guess, that I didn't take his limelight away, essentially. Then he comes back to the shop and he's got a little more pep in his step. Yeah, I did that. So that's really cool for me. And as far as just people in general anymore, like I feel like I've made a little dab of money and I'm happy where I'm at. But I really love seeing those kind of wins with the guys around me. Because if they're growing, I'm growing. So investing again back into them, making sure they know that was slick. I'm glad you did it that way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think that's huge as a leader and as a business owner, because as business owners, we are leaders,
Yep.
right? And if you don't see yourself as a leader, if you're not trying to lead your team and build them up to be the best version of themselves and give them the opportunity to be the best version of themselves, you're only hindering, again, your success, your growth. So like you said, I mean, I've told my team, I was like, I want to pay you high commission checks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to hold back your commissions whatsoever. As much as it hurts to write a huge check like that, believe me, I'd be happy because that means that, you're growing, you're succeeding, but also that's good for the business too. So I think that is really huge. What have you done for yourself to better your leadership skills?
Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. Because I never really felt like a leader, I guess. Probably paying attention to the small things. If the people that I'm around, they're having a hard time at home, invest a little bit into that. And hey, here's my little bit of tidbit advice. Thanks, And then if it's something work-wise, just an open ear. Or like I said, even with the ideas, I'm very dick hard on my way is the way. And it's only my way because my name's on the building. But at the same time, it's not that. So whenever you do those little things like that, when somebody actually has a better idea, acknowledging it, eating crow that you were wrong and they were right, it takes a little chip off of me, but it also builds the confidence of the people around you, in my opinion, to where you can grow, you can get better, and just be a little bit more vocalized, possibly, hey, yes, I know it's your name, but I know this is going to work better, and just give them that shot. And then after you give them that shot, sometimes it works out great. So, and sometimes it doesn't. So as far as reflecting back on me, hey, I gave them that option. It didn't work, or it did work. And me, myself, just remembering that onto the next phase. I really want to weld this section first. Damn it. Okay, fine. That's good. He was right last time. He's probably going to be right again. Making sure that I'm not putting myself on some sort of pedestal just because my name is on the building,
No, I think that's awesome. And I mean, that is a really, really smart way to think about it. So diving into that, what happens if they aren't right?
It's a learning curve. It just like that rail that I said, he missed it on 6 inches. It cost me time. It cost me money. But we both learned together. So, okay, why did he make this mistake? I'm going to put it right back on my shoulders because as the business owner, shit runs uphill, whether you want it to or not. It's going to be your fault. So, hey, how can I help you? How can we fix this? How can I make sure this never happens again? I know where I screwed up. When I was designing it on CAD, I didn't take off for a post. Okay, great. Let's make sure all of that's taken care of again. So instead of just 110% throwing it all on his shoulders, hey, the next time we do, let's both go through it. Let's both go through all the measurements. Let's both do all of the mapping out of the rails. In fact, we just done it on a rail last week. Just both of us learned. Yes, it costs money, but just get over it. You're going to have to spend money to learn lessons.
No, definitely. And I think the important part of that is like you're having them give you the answer, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing I learned was not fixing the problems for them, right? And obviously you might know or might not know what went wrong at just, first glance, but having them really learn, it's not just being like, oh man, I messed up, and then that's a learning lesson. They have to understand where they messed up, right? Yes, it's our responsibility as the leader and as a business owner. Everything is our fault, but at the same time, like you want your team to also want to take accountability for the mistakes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. That's a huge deal too, because that's exactly the way the last rail went. It was like, hey, that was my fault. I should have reviewed those measurements. And he was like, no, I blew it. Plain and simple, I blew it. And I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. He felt bad about it. And it's not making him feel bad about it. He doesn't like screwing up, just like none of us do. So just, I say hoaxing or holding his hand through that time, I guess, a little bit of, hey, you're going to screw up. You're going to screw up again. Just minimize it, and we'll go. The next screw up we take, we go on from it. We'll learn another lesson. If they're happening every week, yeah, we probably need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if they're happening 3 times a year, big freaking deal. We screw up.
Yeah. And I mean, the one important thing I would say too is that as long as they're different lessons, that like, if it's the same one, it's like, dude, like,
Yeah.
I get you only done this 3 times this year, this mistake, but if it's the same mistake, bro, like come on. Like, but I think that it's awesome that you are making them give you the answer. And then, one of the things I would say is also have them explain that, where they messed up, and then let them figure out and ask them, how are we going to fix it? Like you tell me, what would you do? Right. So that not only are they building the skill to realize where the mistake was so they don't do it again, but that realize that, let's say you bring on another person under him and then that person messes up. Are you going to be the one that has to teach that new person, or can he do it on site without you there? Right.
Exactly.
So having him think outside the box as well, starts to build that confidence, especially when that, fix makes it works and it looks great. And, you're like, perfect. Look at that, so it builds that confidence, and it also builds your team so that you're not at the end of the day stuck to a job and letting your business be a business.
Yeah. And I don't know, the whole building leaders is what I want. Yes, you got to have, as Dietrich said on the one meeting, you got to have booger eaters in the business, but I don't want too many of them. I want everybody to be competent and be able to do their job and excel at it. So yeah, when the next person walks in the door, hopefully they're a right fit for the way that Greg and I do things and the way Greg and I feel. If not, next, get to the next one. So
how has it been? Have you been like creating a process and stuff with training Greg that, when you do bring it on the next person, like your teaching style or, your onboarding process?
Not necessarily. I mean, what we do right now, especially, is not a huge 2-person deal. Yes, he needs help in the shop from time to time. So we've been talking about it because I want him to have an opinion as well on it, because I want to be able to be kind of phased out of the day-to-day work before too long. But when he gets in a pickle, it's like, hey, would another person work right here? And he's already taking it on himself. No, today I don't need a skilled person. I need a booger eater, So I've been trying to mentally put it in my head, how many times does he say, nope, I just need somebody to help lift stuff or turn stuff? Or how many times has it been, I need an actual competent person here to work, to measure, to weld, to do whatever it is. So I don't know. It's all the growing pains. I started this deal out and didn't want any quote unquote employees. I wanted to just keep it me, and then get into it, and the ideas changed a little bit. So
oh yeah, I mean, I think that's how we all start off, especially if it's a passion or you grow to like it, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay, like it is a business on paper, but it's a job because it's only me, right?
Yep.
So I know you said you have a family and stuff. Like, what does your family life look like?
Family life right now is great. I got a wife that supports me, and I tell her she's the worst wife ever, because I come to her and I'm like, hey, I got this idea and it's going to cost like $100,000. And she was like, okay, how fast is it going to get paid back? Well, I don't know, maybe 5 years. Okay, yeah, let's go for it. But yeah, she supports me on all my stupid habits, and I got a 3-year-old little daughter that definitely was needed. I wanted a boy first, but the big man put the little girl in my life, and she's slowed me down. She's made me a lot more patient, and helped me with deliverance on a lot of things, because you can't just go yell and scream at the 3-year-old that you're doing this wrong. You gotta have a little more gentle approach at it. So I definitely needed that.
No, that's awesome. And actually, I have a daughter. She's about to be 3 in January, so I align right with what you're saying on that.
Yeah.
I wanted a boy too, and sometimes we got placed that a daughter first for a reason.
Yeah, I and that's another thing too, is starting the business. I was working until midnight a lot of nights, and getting up at 7 to just redo the hustle every day. And just in the last 6 or 8 months, I really came down hard on myself. Like, if I have to lose $1 because I'm spending time with my daughter, I'll lose as many of them as it takes. She's only 3 once. And so getting that, 5:30, 6 o'clock on, I'm going to be with my family. Or the weekends, not answering that big phone call because we're sitting down at dinner, whatever that may be. That's probably helped me on the personal side the most, just making sure that I put that time into them. Right or wrong, I don't know, but it's helped me out personally,
No, that's awesome. And I think that's one of those things where starting a business is a struggle and scary, but then that next step you're talking about, believe me, like it's also scary. And it's like, because you're changing the way you've lived your life for so long and the way you ran your business. And you're like, yes, this is important, I'm going to do it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an easy change or a fearless change.
Yep.
So how long have you been in business? Because I know you said your daughter's 3, right? So how long have you been in business? How long have you been married?
So I've been in this phase, we'll call it, of the Welding company for 5 years, right at, give or take a little bit. And then, oh man, my wife's going to be mad at me. I don't know how long I've been married exactly. I've been with her for 10 or 11 years. We're high school sweethearts. And
Okay.
she, I think it's been 5 years, 5 years married. But yeah, I couldn't have done, sounds sappy to say, but I couldn't have done any of this without her.
No, so that's awesome. And the reason I asked is because entrepreneurship is hard for the entrepreneur, but it's something that we don't think about is that it's actually really hard for the family as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So there came a time, 3 years ago, I was working for somebody else, kind of hit and miss, and running the welding company on the side. And I was coming home just pissed off and mad. And at where I was working, I was only working a few days a week, but things weren't going the way that I wanted to. And as my parents seemed to tell me that it's my way or no way, and if I don't like it, I don't like it, So I came home and I was mad, and we sat down at dinner one night, and my wife was finally like, "Hey, you gotta shut the hell up. Like, I'm tired of hearing you. You've got to do something to make yourself happy again." And I was like, "Man, I don't know." So it comes back to the faith thing again. I went out and was trying to hustle some jobs, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm just quitting. I'm quitting. I'm coming back home. I'm going to focus on the welding business. If it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if I don't give it 100%, it's not going to work out. And I actually got a phone call like 2 days later from a good friend of mine, a big fence job. And just that job was going to float financials for like 3 months. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was supposed to do. Again, shut up and listen. Sit down, shut up and listen. That's what I say a lot. So it's been a hell of a ride.
No, that's so cool. I mean, that's so cool that you found someone. I know you guys are high school sweethearts, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that it's going to work out, especially when you choose a career path like, we have both chosen. But I mean, we both had that similar story, when I was working for a company and it was a private gym, I was running the personal training side and building out the whole department. Me and the owner, kind of had a disagreement on some stuff. And, I basically was like, screw this, I'm out. Like, I quit. I didn't tell my wife, didn't talk about it. I just quit. And then I walked out the doors and I was like, shit, what am I going to do? So then I called her and, I was like, hey, and she was my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, I'm going to do this for myself. Like, I can't go work for another gym. I can't do this. Like, I'm just going to do it on my own. And she was like, okay. And I was like, are you nervous? I'm nervous. I was nervous telling you. She's like, no, like you can do it, you know?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
same thing, you know, she's always one of those people that will tell me, like, agree with what I say because she believes in me. But then what has been cool, I did see a switch at one point with bringing the franchises on. I got approached by a franchise broker, and he wanted to basically come on board and partner up, which means he would help sell franchises for us. And she basically said, it's not a cash investment for me. But so she was like, do you really want to do that right now? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just, because I mean, as you know, like, it's taken me 13 months to sell a franchise. And I was like, I'm just getting over this. Like, I'm trying everything. I don't know what to. And she's like, I guarantee, she's like, if you do it, yes, it'll be easy. Yes, he'll start selling franchises for you. But would you be happy with this in a year, 5 years? And I was like, probably not. She's like, then don't do it. And I was like, damn it. I was like, I wasn't asking for advice. I was just telling you what I was doing, you know. But you know, sometimes as easy as they are to say yes and give us that approval, they are the people that know us so well, and when they see us make a decision that they know will affect us mentally later, they're the first persons that, you know, kind of put us in place also. So I will say,
Grace, I went every idea I come to her with, as far as like me personally, she's like, oh my gosh, you're the greatest. And you're everything. And then I go to the RBO deal, and Steven said what he said, and I come home and I'm like, man, I took that to heart in a good way. I hope Steven watches this and knows that I really utmost respect, man. I'm glad you did that. But I come home and I tell my wife, and my wife's like, dumbass, I've been telling you that for 5 years. But it's just a little different. So yeah, and to see my wife too on the sides of flowing with everything and making sure that you know, she knows that she's got my support, or vice versa. I mean, and then also grounding me too. You know, hey, I want to buy this new machine. I think that's pretty stupid. You know, I think we ought to wait. Damn it. Okay. Just going on. It's not that she's wanting to hinder. It's not that she's wanting to slow down or anything like that. It just, she thinks, you know, it's not the right time. And you sit back and think about it, and 9 times out of 10, she's right, you know?
Yeah. Or at least gives you the chance to take a step back, because sometimes we do get excited, we get, you know, emotional or whatever, and then we just react on it out of excitement. And so whether you were right or she was right, at least gives you that pause. Okay, let me see where she's coming from, because she might be looking at this better than I am right now, right? So that's so awesome. So before we wrap up, I want to ask a question that I don't like to give anyone this ahead of time, right? Because I want it to be true and genuine. Okay. So it's not a tombstone. This is your legacy wall. So, you know, the Richard Powell legacy wall. On this legacy wall, you can leave any lasting message or lesson that you've learned throughout your lifetime that you would leave for, you know, the next up and coming generation, the next up and coming, you know, welders, whatever you would like.
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. Right now in my mindset, it's going to be reinvesting in the ones under you, or around you, I should say, because that it seems like the more you invest in the right people, not everybody, but the more you invest and the more you try to help out and be genuine, I guess, the more people that end up in your corner, the truer you are in a hardship or a hard time. The people seem to flock to that, you know, they not being that yes man or that person that just is a pushover, I guess. I don't know how to word that. I guess just being genuine, you know, being honest was what I would like to be valued as the most. Piss on the money and everything else. Just I could pick up the phone and call Richard, and he was true every time. You know, that's probably my biggest thing that I would like to take to the grave with me. That's
awesome. I mean, honestly, that's why I don't like to ask people the question ahead of time and give you time to think about it, because that message, as simple as it seems, it's sometimes the most simplistic like answers that have the deepest value, right?
Our core values are, and in fact, I'm looking at them on the wall: honesty and faith, you know, and genuine are our biggest things. Because in business, you don't find that. You know, you find a salesperson, and he's going to tell you every good reason, you know. And that kind of goes back to that stupid welder comment. I was being dogging on myself, but maybe I was being a little too real, you know, quote unquote. I want it to be I want to go into a job and tell them, hey, this is the job and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm the baddest at what I do, but there are these issues. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't sell the job, but I want to truly think that any customer of mine that didn't go with a job because of a negative was thankful that I was being honest with them. I do it all the time. Yes, I can build you this Taj Mahal, but it seems pretty stupid, the way you're wanting to do this. So yeah, that honesty speaks really high volumes to me.
No, it does. And I mean, the honesty, the genuineness, the truthfulness and the faith of it, all is one of those things in business. Like, you could be a salesperson, you could be a welder, you could be a business owner in any industry, and you will get more value and bring more value to people, who in turn will bring you value in terms of referrals, all that kind of stuff, when you are genuine, when you are honest, right? Yes, you want to sell them a car or whatever, a job, but when you let them know, like, if you know what their goal is for it, and you're like, look, these are the great things about this car. For what you're looking for, though, these are the potential problems I see. If you've already thought of that, then no worries. I just want to make sure that I'm, transparent with you, because I don't want you to get off the lot and then all of a sudden realize this wasn't your dream car, right?
Yeah. And the clientele base that I have for sure is, I've got 6 pretty good people, and I really value myself on that. We're true, we're legit. We may cuss and discuss, as I say, on a few objects, but every time I have their best interest at hand. And I think that's one of our biggest things as far as referrals go. I'm not going to come into a house and sell you a stainless handrail when powder coat would do just the same, and it's a quarter of the cost, That's the honesty, man. It's huge.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, where can people connect with you?
Everywhere, man. We've got a little YouTube stuff going on. Facebook, obviously, at Powell Fab, and then pfnwa.com website. So yeah, we're in a bunch of different places, but pretty well everything's based under the Powell Fab stuff.
Awesome. Well, Richard, thank you so much for taking the time out, man, to hop on the Mindset Cafe today. And guys, if you guys are listening, make sure you guys share this episode with a friend and leave us that 5-star review, because it does help, share the episode and share the show with others that are like yourself, trying to develop themselves and be the best versions of them. Richard, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Devin. I appreciate it, man.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to